Hey guys, welcome to today's video. It has been a crazy few weeks and I have not been able to upload a video. I've missed it so much, so I am so happy to be back. But today's video is inspired off of a makeup look that I just recently did for family pictures this weekend. Kind of some sweet, smoky, earthy tones, if that kind of makes sense. And we're gonna be using a mixture of luxury and drugstore products today. We're gonna be all across the board. So let's jump right in! All right. So we are starting with the eyes. Could you have guessed? Probably. I received this in an Ipsy glam bag, but I've been enjoying it. It's a little trial size of the concealer from Item. I don't know if it's Item Beauty or just Item. There will be a link in the description below. This is called the Air Hug Concealer, a smoothing medium to full coverage concealer, and this one is in the shade 3 Light Neutral. So I am a little more tan right now. I have gone back into using some self-tanner because the sun ain't bright enough to give me a tan, but we is done being pale at the moment. So we're kind of going into the shades that I would use over the summer because I tend to tan a lot. It's just really fun. I just really enjoy it. It's so relaxing to just lay on a pool floaty over the pool and it's warm outside and the sun is shining and the water is beneath me. Oh my goodness, it's like my happy place. I cannot wait for summer for that reason, yet at the same time, I'm not in a hurry to get to summer because the humidity is gonna crank up to level uncomfortable. We're just enjoying the beautiful spring weather right now and pretending like we're in summer with self-tanner. If you guys are curious, the self-tanner that I've been using is the Loving Tan 2-Hour Express Tanner. I think I have it in the shade Dark. I think it's Dark. Where's my powder? I swear I was just looking at it. Ugh. Well, Eden, it is right in front of me. I'm gonna set the eyes with the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I'm just getting a little bit on my Morphe M536 brush, my bullet brush, if you've been here long enough to know that that's just my nickname for it. We're gonna set that concealer so it's not creasing on the eyes. This is a little palette I have been loving. I have used this multiple times. This palette is actually one of Natasha Denona's mini palettes. She does have different categories of sizes of palettes and also in very various price points. But this one is the Natasha Denona Retro palette. These colors just spoke to me when I saw it online. The mattes blend beautifully from Natasha Denona and these shimmers are so stunning. We're gonna start with this matte shade here. This is Vintage Taupe. Then I'm gonna go in with a fluffy blending brush from Luxie and we're just gonna start building up the crease. And as I'm building up the crease with this look in particular, I pulled this transition shade out further onto my brow bone a little bit more because I wanted more definition from afar. And I really liked what it did to the shape of my eyes. This color is super pretty. It's got kind of a mauve-y undertone to it, and it's not too brown, it's not too pink, it's just right in between, and it's so pretty. Okay, so now that I've got that built up where I want it, I'm gonna go in with a smaller blending brush from Luxie, and then I'm gonna go into the middle shade. This is called 60s. And this shade is kind of interesting. So let me actually give you a close-up look of this color. So this middle shade, it's definitely like a dusty army green color in the pan, but for at least my skin tone, when it goes on the eye and it's blended out, it kind of starts looking like a gray almost. But once I build up that color, it pulls a little bit more green. I can't speak for all skin tones, but for me, I've definitely noticed that blending that out, it diffuses the green a little bit, but it's still really pretty and I really enjoy the shade. So I'm just putting this on the outer third of the eye, kind of pulling it into that crease above that area. And I'm just going in small layers with this color to kind of build up. And I'm gonna kind of swing that out a little bit to a point at the edge. And then I'm just gonna take what's left on the brush and just lightly drag it across the crease. I don't want that to be a prominent color, but I just want to deepen that area that's gonna be right above the shimmers to help them pop even more in a very subtle way. Okay, so then now we're gonna go into this shade, which is Industrial. This shimmer, I'll show you what it looks like on the finger. Look at that. Super metallic, just like, I don't even know how to describe this color. So pretty. So we're gonna focus this on most of the lid, and I'm gonna build it up in layers, not taking it all the way out to the edge, but I do want it on the majority of the eye. So I'm going to be careful not to pull that into the crease. I'm going to stop when I've got like a third of the eyelid in the inner corner left open, because that's where we're going to put the other shimmer shade. Now I'm going to go into the Galaxia shade. This is the lightest shimmer in the palette. The reflect on this is insanely gorgeous. It's definitely kind of a goldish pink, and it does have a really light green shift to it, so it works really well with this other shimmer shade. So I'm coming in with my pinky and going to the most inner part of my eye and just pressing, and then I'm dipping back in and I'm moving my way over on top of the industrial shade and meshing those together, just being as careful as I can to not get it in the crease. And then I take it on my ring finger and I'm just dabbing it on top of the center of the lid, on top of that industrial shade, and it just like amps up that center and blends it into the inner lid part. I think it looks so beautiful with that overlay. Oh, I love this palette. And then for the other eye, I'm gonna grab my other pinky so that I can just very directly go into the inner corner and not have to like do one of these deals where I'm reaching around myself. Get it on the pinky, press on the inner corner, and start building that up. I am not coordinated with my left hand. I'm definitely right hand dominant, so doing stuff like this is always a challenge. I have to think really hard and focus very closely. We're gonna go back in with that small tapered blending brush. Go back into the 60s shade, the middle one, and I'm gonna get a decent amount on the brush and just start packing it in a light way, light packing over that edge where that shimmer comes into play. That way it's just a seamless blend into that outer color. Check it out. Can you see that? Love it. And then I'm gonna go in with the original blending brush, get a tiny bit of that vintage taupe shade, and I'm just gonna dust over the crease to do two things. One, get the shimmer off of the crease if there was any that creeped up, and two, kind of soften the edges of this green shade. And there we are with the eyeshadow. Oh, I absolutely loved how this turned out for pictures. Had to do it again. So now I'm gonna jump into a makeup wipe to clean up the edges. I'm gonna get that fallout. There's really not very much, but there is a little bit. And then I'm gonna line this up with where I'm gonna have bottom eyeshadow so that we can have a clean blend there. And I'm just gonna pull back and create an edge there. Pulling out. Just like that. And then I'm just gonna pat over those edges, mesh that with my skin so it's a little more blended. Then we're gonna go in with eyeliner. This is another Ipsy glam bag find. This is the Araceli, hope I'm saying that right, Ojos Perfectos liquid eyeliner. This is what it looks like. It's a felt tip. This is in the shade Night. It's a very dark black. This is what the tip looks like. It's been really great so far. I've really enjoyed it when I've used it. I haven't noticed any bleeding outside of where it's applied. I'm only gonna put a really thin line along the edge of my lash line, and I'm gonna put a really, really itty bitty wing at the edge, not anything intense. Eyeliner always feels like the moment that you can make or break what's going on. So there's that. And then I'm gonna follow that line that I created with the makeup wipe to create just a little edge, and then I'm gonna drag it in for my little wing, just to give my eye shape a little bit more sharpness. Love this trick. Oh, I 100% did not mention that I did my brows off camera. Wow, good job, Rach. I used the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil. This is the travel size one. This is in the shade 3.5. I've been really liking this pencil. This is what the tip looks like. It's kind of a teardrop shape, so it's a lot quicker to fill in your brows because you have that thicker bottom part, but then you have the little pointy edge where you can just create, you know, your sharp lines and hair strokes where you need them. So brows, Benefit, loving it. All right guys, this mascara is a kind of recent new find. This is what it looks like. This is the Bite Beauty Upswing Full Volume Mascara, I think is what it's called. Yep. This is what the tip looks like. So thoughts on this mascara. I've noticed the best results when I tuck this up against the lash line and kind of wiggle before I pull it out. So not just constantly blinking. And maybe it's because this wand is a little bit bigger. To show you what I mean, coming to the bottom, right at the edge, wiggle, as I'm pulling up, it really separates the lash even more. So that is 2 coats, like just 2 coats, and I'm happy with the way it looks, so I'm gonna leave it. Huge recommendation. This is amazing. All right, we are going to move on to the face. So for pictures, I double primed because I wanted effects from 2 different primers. So the first thing that I went in with was the NYX Marshmallow Primer. I love this stuff, and it's funny. The smell is super nostalgic for me of my trip to Disney because I use this every day that we were out there, so it's kind of fun. The reason I like this primer is it's super hydrating. It's very smoothing without being too sticky or heavy. Like, I definitely don't feel like I'm wearing anything when I've got this on. And the smell is just like, come on, you smell sugary and like candy. Like, what more could you want? So then you probably could have guessed it. I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Need I say more? If you are new to my channel, this stuff is a holy grail of mine, and it is very, very affordable. So I'm gonna take a little bit on my middle fingers, warm that up, and then start pressing it into the areas where my pores are the most visible to smooth this out even further. And I do like the way these 2 primers sit together. They worked really well when I did this makeup look and used both of them together for pictures. And then I do make sure to press this into the skin as well. The Marshmallow Primer also, it doesn't make me look dewy, but it gives a really pretty, healthy glow to the skin. Love those primers. Okay, so now we're gonna go into foundation. This is disgusting to look at. This has been used tried and true for a long time. This is something I've used over the years that I've loved from the drugstore. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24 Fresh Wear Foundation. This stuff is amazing, and as you can tell, it's been loved quite a bit. So this one is in the shade 455. So I'm gonna shake this up a little bit because it is a liquid. I'm gonna use about a pump and a quarter-ish. And then I'm gonna go in with my Morphe foundation brush M439, start stamping this to disperse it around the face. And then I'm just gonna start blending this into the skin. With foundations, always match your neck. Don't go off of the color of the skin that your face is, because your face a lot of times can be lighter than the rest of your body. For example, that shade matches my neck, whereas the rest of my skin is a lot lighter. So that's how you find your best match. And this foundation is definitely buildable and does a very natural finish. It doesn't look too cakey, it doesn't look too heavy. It's definitely one of my most favorite foundations from the drugstore. It's really, really great. So I want to build up that coverage a little bit more, so I'm going to take my beauty blender, go in with, I don't know, 3/4 of a pump, and then just start going in areas that I feel like I've got a little more hyperpigmentation that I want to conceal, and then I'm just gonna start blending that out. Okay, so let's jump into concealer. I'm gonna go back in with that same item concealer in the shade 3 Light Neutral, and I'm gonna get a little bit on the inside right here where I get a lot of blue discoloration, a hair right here, and then I'm gonna start by blending out those areas before I go into the rest of the face. And I always kind of go upside down with this area so I can get into that inner corner without disturbing my eyeshadow. And then I'm careful as I'm blending out the concealer underneath that edge with the eyeliner that we're just going right along with it and not covering it up. Coverage on this concealer is really nice. It's very creamy. I've been enjoying it a lot, and I haven't noticed it creasing either. So that's been really, really nice. Okay, so then I'm going to take additional concealer, come to the high points of the face to brighten, and then just go ahead and blend that out with the sponge so we can create some additional dimension to the face. Okay, and then I'm going to go back into the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder with the bullet brush to set the under eye and the areas that we just laid down concealer. So I'm going to get that at the absolute tip of the brush so I can get in nice and tight with that area. And this powder is really, really beautiful. It does a great job of setting, and it's very finely milled. Really, really, really love it. So now I'm gonna go in and bronze And I've been loving some products from Fenty Beauty lately. I've just recently kind of dived into that brand and I've been in love, to say the least. I'm gonna go in with my Luxie tapered face brush, and then I'm gonna use the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker Instant Warmth Bronzer. This one is in the shade Into Sun. Fenty Beauty, if you don't know, is the makeup line that was created by Rihanna, and the products have been a great quality across the board. And the packaging is just gorgeous. Like, come on, it's a rose gold in the gorgeous octagon shape. It's so pretty. So I've been in love with this stuff. So we're just bringing some warmth back to the face along the perimeter. I love this shade. It's not super warm toned, but it's also not cool toned. It's like right in the middle. It's so beautiful. I think it's a very flattering shade. A little bit under the chin, down the neck, so that we're all blended here, creating some more shadow and warmth. So then I'm gonna grab a contour brush. This one's by Real Techniques. It's a very dense, narrow brush. This is the Fenty Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Bronzer, and I have this one in the shade 01 Amber. So as you can see, it's really cool toned. So I'm just gonna go in and grab some of that on my brush, and I'm gonna find the hollow of my cheekbone and go right along that area, and I'm just gonna stamp it and blend more down than up. I don't want to go too far down, but you also don't want to raise your cheekbones so high that your jaw looks huge. So there's a happy medium in between. We're just creating a nice shadow under the cheekbone so that everything looks a lot more chiseled. It has a very slendering effect, especially in pictures. I love to contour when I'm doing a photo shoot of any sort. And so then I'm also gonna take that on the top of the forehead and along the sides, blending that backwards into the hairline. And then I'm gonna take a very small amount on that brush and go along the edge of my nose, and then just a hair under my bottom lip. Helps your lip look bigger and a little more pouty. See? And then I do want to take a little bit along the edge of the jawline and pull it down the neck a little bit. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of bronzer and go right over the top of those edges just to help blend those two together so it's a little more seamless. I'm gonna go into blush now. I've been loving this blush. This is from ColourPop. This is a part of, I think it was the Romantic or Romance collection, I don't even know. But this is the shade Love Story. It's a warmer tone, but it looks gorgeous next to this eye look. It's all the right tones. It looks so nice. I'm gonna go in with a Luxie blush brush. Tap in here. ColourPop blushes are super pigmented, so tap off the excess and then apply lightly. And I'm just gonna go with the apples of the cheeks, blending up to add life back to the face and really bring color to everything. I'm gonna take the sponge, go over the edges of everything that we've laid down, make sure we're all nice and smooth. Looking as natural as possible is the goal. Okay, and then we're gonna go into highlight. This one is from ColourPop. This is the Super Shock Cheek Pearlized Highlighter, I think is what it's called. And this is in the shade Lunch Money. It is so pretty. And it's the coolest texture. It's kind of a bouncy, wet powder kind of deal. I don't know how else to explain it. So I'm gonna take some of that on my finger and go along the high points of the cheekbone to really make us pop here. And I love this highlighter. It's a very natural, light, kind of iced out champagne tone, and it's very buildable. See that highlight and that contour up against each other? Like, ooh, cheekbones are poppin'. I'm gonna take a little bit along the bridge of the nose as well as the very tip along the Cupid's bow and a little bit on the chin. I'm gonna go over with my beauty blender just a little bit to sink that in, pick up any harsh edges that we may have. Okay, let's go finish the eyes. We're gonna go back into the Natasha Denona palette. I'm gonna go into the crease brush that we used earlier, and I'm just gonna pinch it when I'm applying on the lower lash line. So I'm gonna dip into the transition shade, the Vintage Taupe, and then, like I said, pinch that at the edge and just work that along the whole lower lash line. And then I'm gonna grab the smaller blending brush, dip into the 60s shade, pinch that as well, focus that on the outer 2/3 of the lash line, and then kind of working that into a soft blend to the top portion of the eye that we have smoked out to an edge. Being careful not to interrupt the eyeliner, but just kind of connecting that as much as possible. And then we're gonna go back into mascara. Get those bottom lashes up to speed. And with this Bite Beauty mascara, literally one coat on the bottom, I'm good. I don't want my bottom lashes to be the center of attention, and they can end up that way real fast with this mascara. Now I'm gonna grab a pencil brush and go back into the highlighter for our inner corner highlight and just pop that right on the center, blending that edge up. And I'm gonna take a little bit of that and drag it along the lower lash line because it opens up the eye even more. Cool little subtle trick. I'm gonna take a little bit of that, pop that along the brow bone. It helps raise your eye as well and brighten things. Cool. And then for lips, this is by Senegence. So if you've ever heard of Lip Sense, this is it. I used to be a distributor for this. I don't do it anymore, but I really do love the product. It is 100% budge proof, smudge proof. It lasts a super long time. So things like my wedding photo shoots, this is my go-to for my lips. So the first step with Lip Sense is you gotta shake it up. There's a little ball inside. It's a very, very, very thin formula. There's a high alcohol content in this to help it evaporate on the lips so it's not super thick, and it keeps it clean. So when you start off, you want to really shake that up, get the color really even. And then the way you apply it is you apply it in 3 thin coats. And then you have to keep your lips totally spread, and you can't put them together while you're applying it. It is totally worth the silliness of the application, I promise. And then once you have your 3 coats applied, you put the Lip Sense gloss on top. This seals in the color, but it helps hydrate the lips while you're wearing this as well. I always start at my Cupid's bow so I can get that really nice and sharp. And when you pull this out, you want to make sure to wipe off the excess so that you don't have a lot on the wand. So I always line the lips on the edge and then I swipe across the lip. Hope you're enjoying this application. So then we're going in with the gloss, and you can be really generous with this, even on the waterline. The color that I applied today was Creamer. It's a really pretty, kind of cool toned, like brownish nude. I really, really love this product. We're gonna set the face with the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. This stuff is fantastic for needing longevity makeup payoff. So we're just gonna spritz. I'm gonna take the Beauty Blender and go all along the face to press that into the skin and really melt everything together. This is like one of the best steps in my experience to help your makeup just all come together. And voila! I love this look. It kind of pulls in the greens and the deepness of kind of our color palette, but it's super flattering. Everything is really defined but still natural looking. It's really, 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 really beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial and coming back to my channel. You guys mean the world to me. I love doing this. And as always, if you want to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to be notified each time that I have a new video, click on the bell after you've subscribed and it will notify you each time there is a new video upload. I love you guys so much. I will see you in my next video. Bye.